Well, if you're looking at this beautiful backboard from Gus Macker, you are familiar with it, especially if you've been around Chillicothe for a number of years. Coming up in a moment, we're going to talk with Scott McNeal, who is part of Gus Macker, which is making a return to Chillicothe. We have lovely ladies with me here. To my immediate left, Cheryl Beverly of Cheryl's House of Hope, and Dr. Sheila Gray, a former board member of Cheryl's House of Hope. We're going to talk about why this is coming to Chillicothe in just a moment. Right after this, from Rathkamp Financial.
At Rathkamp Financial, we act as your advocate in all wealth matters. We believe in long-term relationships and working to earn your continued trust with our customized investment solutions. Our greatest satisfaction comes from working with clients for many years and helping them realize their dreams.
Well, it is basketball season as we talk now, but in mid-May, we're looking at Gus Macker making a return to Chillicothe, and the benefactor is going to be Cheryl's House of Hope, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Well, thank you so much. This is a very, very exciting time, and it's going to be a great experience, to see it come back.
You have to be excited about this because basketball and Beverly goes hand in hand.
There you go. See? Yes.
Is that a good assist right there?
That is great. And not only bring it back because of that, because of my family and background, but now my ongoing family, grandchildren.
Yes.
Yeah.
That life goes on, doesn't it?
Yes.
And Dr. Gray, you, of course, have a tie-in with this as well. You've got your own toilet bowl trophy in your house.
We do. My youngest son, when he played, his team won the toilet bowl.
And I think that might be better than actually winning it all, you know?
Well, they thought so.
Scott McNeal is with us on phone. And Scott, thank you for joining us here this morning to talk about this event. I know we're early in making this happen, but it's going to be great to have this tournament back on the streets of Chillicothe.
Well, Dan, we just love Chillicothe. We've been there forever. I was talking with Dr. Sheila and Cheryl the other day, and I kept coming up with other names of people who are still in the community that made it happen back in the day. And great friendships and just a great community. Love the event in downtown.
Now, we don't have a location just yet here in the city limits, but you're telling me, Sheila, that a lot of folks want to see it back on the streets.
Everyone we've contacted so far has just been overwhelmingly positive, and they want it on the streets. They want it. They know that it was on the streets for a while, and then it went to Chillicothe High School, and then ultimately at OUC. But their favorite was when it was downtown, and we'd like to, the downtown has been revitalized, and we'd like to continue to drive families and children downtown so they can see what has happened there. We have Dora activities, and that's appealing to the adults, but we'd like for the children to have something to do.
Mm-hmm. And this goes back to, I remember when we had, good golly, maybe 300 teams involved, and if I'm not mistaken, there was a basket close to your office location there on Walnut
Absolutely.
Street. So it was really spread out there. Yeah. Scott, you mentioned that you had a number of names. We remember the names of like Tom White and Jim Dearson involved with this to get things started. Those guys were involved with Junior Achievement at the time, and of course, they're still thriving here in the city today. What's it do for you going into your 50th anniversary? Congratulations, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Going into this now, 50 years later, you look back on the relationships you've built over this time. It's got to be incredible.
Yeah, it's really amazing that a simple game of driveway basketball could bring everybody together so much, but it really, over the years, has become quite a community and family event in every town I go to. So I've built a lot of great relationships. I was trying to figure out how we did it back then. By the way, your peak, Dan, I think you had over 1,000 teams playing.
Oh, my.
What?
Yeah.
1,100 teams playing. We were all over the place.
That does sound familiar now, because it was stretched down Water Street, down Paint Street. We used the side streets, and even into the park, if I'm not mistaken, for registration and things too.
Yeah, that would have been in the late 90s.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So I was watching earlier a video that's on Macker.com of Al Trotwig being in your backyard, I think it was, and your mom was doing some gardening. This was like 1986 and 96. And it's just amazing what this tournament has done nationwide. I don't know, have you been international yet?
Well, we used to play a little bit of Canadian basketball, but nothing really that major internationally. It was tough to get our hoops around. You know, we move our hoops all over the country, and we go as far now. We're out in New Mexico, and we're up in New York State, down to Kentucky, so forth. But mainly the Great Lakes area where you see most of our events.
Yeah, I can't imagine what it's like trying to get through TSA and everything to get to where you need to go with these hoops. But when you roll into town, it's like the circus is here, and it's pretty cool to see it all come together.
Well, probably a lot of people are really surprised that we're still doing it, but it's still the same type of event, and still call your own. The one thing I always emphasize today when I'm talking to people is I have quite a few events that are 70% more that are under the age of 18. A lot of kids playing in it right now, so it is very, very Disney-like. It's really a great image for our brand.
A lot of that's because our playing days are behind us, Scott. Because I remember, if I'm not mistaken, I think Tom White and Jim Dearson also had teams involved in this back in the day, too. There's no question there. Ladies, what drew your interest to bringing it back to Chillicothe?
I was having a conversation with my son, my oldest son, and we were trying to figure something out, with an event. And he was like, Mom, where's Gus Macker?
No brainer, huh?
And I was like, oh gosh, and immediately just was like, Gus Macker, why not? Not even knowing it was in its 50th anniversary. I did not know. So when he says, okay, you work on that. So I worked on it and got the information and was able to reach out to Scott. Scott reached back, and when he said 50th anniversary, I just immediately lost it then.
Yeah. It was a golden moment right off the top.
And it wasn't something that I was saying an I thing, but it more of, oh my gosh, how well would that, be to bring 50th back to those who were doing it, to just give them that, basically, let them have that moment. Let the children who don't even know about Gus Macker in Chillicothe get that experience. Yeah. To bring those out as well who are having programs that children don't know about or can't get to. That way they can take the information back to the grandparents who's raising them or parents who are raising them. They can't get out to get them to, to a place, and then start making arrangements to get the kids back into the community of doing activity.
And I know, Scott, when you're talking about this a moment ago about being Disney-like, we have seen over the years the real competitive ones are in their late teens, early 20s, into their 30s, but every court seems to have the little kids too. And not only the boys, but the girls have overtaken this as well. And that just builds more excitement, community involvement. And speaking of community involvement, groups like Cheryl's House of Hope will be benefiting from this. You have poured a lot of money back into the communities that you have these tournaments in, haven't you?
Yeah, the whole goal was us trying to duplicate what happened in our neighborhood where we tried to raise money for a cause each year, and we thought that it needed to be more grassroots and more community-owned. So finding a charity or a nonprofit locally is a big priority of ours, and finding the right one that fits our ideals. And is very community oriented and can get a lot of volunteers and stuff. It's really kind of the priority.
Well, we're excited about the possibility of this all coming together. Cheryl and I have been riding in Cloud 9 here for a little bit the last few days, but I have to say, ladies, the hard work is about to begin. Are you ready for that?
We are.
We are.
That's good, which means they're going to be knocking on doors and asking people to help out and to put this on. I know nothing is up on the website, Macker.com, just yet, but it will be once you get everything finalized, right?
And we have chosen the date to be May 11th and 12th. That's the date we've chosen, and we're excited about it all.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Scott, as we put a wrap on things, any final words from you, sir?
Well, just really excited that Dr. Sheila and Cheryl have came up with this concept of bringing us back, because I immediately called Mike Corcoran the other day, one of my guys that's actually a community member there that helped for years, and he's actually been on my staff with his daughter in the last few years traveling around. So there's a lot of excitement for it to come back. So it's a great community to be in. So we're very excited Chillicothe's still interested in it.
And when you get the Corcorans involved, there's at least 5 teams right there.
Right.
There's so many of them. Well, thank you again,
It's very
Scott.
true.
Yeah. Thanks again, Scott, for joining us here this morning. And we're going to follow up with Scott and have him on with another interview a little later on to talk about the history of Gus Macker and more. We'll let you go. Thank you again, Scott, for your time.
Hey, thanks, you guys. Good luck.
Thank you.
And as we put a wrap on things here, ladies, let's take a moment to talk a little bit more about Cheryl's House of Hope, if you don't mind. You're constantly looking for ways to raise money to help fund what you're doing. Your story is an incredible story.
Thank you.
I don't know that our listeners have had an opportunity to hear your story just yet. Let's take a moment to share.
Okay, awesome. My story is growing up as a child, you know, like you said, you know, with my brothers playing basketball and even football. We actually grew up in a dysfunctional home. You know, you wouldn't have thought that, you know, because the way, you know, we always had a smile on our face. You know, you would never know that, hey, you know, we didn't know times when we didn't go when we went home from playing basketball that we weren't going to be able to get in the house, because sometimes Dad wouldn't allow us in. So my background and the reason why I do what I do is I'm basically not wanting to see children go through that. You know, we are already experienced in it, so we should know how not to allow a child to go through that and to keep working, you know. The food, the reason why Cheryl has I really have this problem with food is because we didn't always eat at night. We didn't go to bed with a full, you know, stomach. So I constantly just want to pass food out. So that is one of my missions, you know, one of my to-go things, you know, is to do that.
And she's a great cook.
That helps, doesn't it?
So the children, actually, what we do is when you see the food trailer, it's not just because I am selling food. Children eat free. Those meals, yes, those meals are free. So when you see me parking in an area, it's not because I'm trying to get all the customers I can. Do I need them? Absolutely, to keep going. But that's because that's an area that I know there's 25 kids that I want to see have a night meal, and they are free. So when you purchase a meal, you're actually paying for a child. Not to, you know, yes, we need funds. Don't get me wrong now. I'm not.
You can't run a nonprofit without making funds.
Exactly. But I also can't feed a child without the funds.
Right.
So that's why we do that. Yeah. It's not because it's all about me, but it's about the children in the community. I want to see those children standing on the corner and waiting for that vocational bus to pull up. So they and get on that bus. And you remember Tabernacle back in the day? Mm-hmm. All the kids couldn't wait to see him. Yeah. You know, here he comes, and get on that bus and go. You know, well, somebody like me was introduced to that bus from a cousin friend, and I couldn't wait to get on that bus because I didn't want to deal with what was going on at home. We also want to bring Gus Macker back because we also want to give the grandparents a break, because once we bring this back and they start seeing a lot of outdoor activity, then the grandparents are also going to get a break because the kids are going to be back into the churches. Bible study, vacational Bible study is what I'm trying to get at. And we want to bring the tents back out in the community. Yeah. So get back to why I do it. That's why I want to see more activity in the children.
What a mission, and what a message as
Thank
well.
you.
Sometimes we don't know why we go through things, but I think it's to help us make better, and you've done that for a lot of kids.
For a lot of kids. We were up to, during COVID, we didn't only just have semi-trucks coming to Chillicothe, but Cheryl's House of Hope had semi-trucks going to 2 other counties. So we were up anywhere up to 160,000 per county of feeding during COVID. And then even for Chillicothe, we stopped doing it. We haven't done it since March of last year, but we were anywhere from 25 to 30,000 pounds of food a week in Ross County.
Staggering.
To make sure that it was an after-school program for kids, and you had to have the child with you in order to get the food.
Yeah. Cheryl, you of course were on the board. What drew you to be a part of this as well?
Well, I vetted Cheryl for quite some time.
Yeah.
I met Cheryl in 2016 when she had her sober living house down on McKellar Street, and I have a number of family members who have passed away due to drug overdoses. I think I've lost 4 nephews and a brother. And as we know, there's a huge epidemic. And then once fentanyl came into play, it was bad enough when, the pill mills were there, and then the black tar heroin came in and all of that kind of thing. But so I went to meet her, and I was very, very impressed, and then we just kept running into each other, and we did a couple of events together, and once you have that personal experience of knowing how difficult it is to find rehabilitation centers. My brother passed away in 2007, and that was the first year that the drug overdoses had outnumbered the number of tragedies where people passed away from car accidents. And 2007, there were very, very few houses, rehab areas to be able to, get help. Right. And if you didn't have any money, you might as well forget it. Or if you didn't have any insurance, and I don't know many people who get into that situation who still have any money. So, and so now through the years, I actually own the house that Cheryl's House of Hope is in on Mulberry Street. And so I put my money where my my mouth is.
And being a dentist, she has very nice teeth. So. I know that we went through such a difficult time with the opioid epidemic. The battle, much like the campaign for blood donors, it's constant. The need is constant. I think we're going to see this still be constant. Can't say that we're winning the war, but we're seeing a lot of victories along the way in this battle, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm a mother of 3 children that ended up a part of this addiction. With it started off with narcotics to the heroin, to the meth, and I'm still struggling with one. that is still, he's still battling. But, we pray every day that, he'll come through it. And then, to have that feeling, to wake up, and the first thing I do is check Facebook to see if I see that green light on his page. Then that makes me, that just lets me know, okay.
He's
and
active.
So then I'll just tap it, and then I'll say, hey, and then he'll come back with, hey, woman. And it's like a relief, like, okay, he's still here, and then I always have to be careful what I say to him, but I say it anyway. Are you going to get better? I know he's going to come back with something, but, because, woman, you're always thinking somebody's doing drugs, but that's what addicts do.
Sure.
But I tell you what, Dan, I got a knock at the door a few days ago, and it was him. And he had gained weight, and he said he was doing better. So I think the prayers are being answered. And I was able to get some sleep that night, knowing that he looked better. And I didn't say anything negative to him. To him, when are you going to get better is a negative. So I just had a conversation with him. But I'm going to tell you what was so it was like flowers was just like floating through the air was he reached in his pocket and he pulled out a bag of candy and he said, "You want some?" And I just smiled and said, "No, I don't want any of the candy." I did want some, but I think I was so excited that my son was standing there talking to me that there was no way I could have ate the candy.
And I got to believe that you see that connection to who he is.
Yes.
And it's a good moment, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It really is.
Yes.
People don't understand unless you're involved with it what the parent goes through.
Right. Yes.
And the grandparent and
Yes.
so on and so forth. So
yeah, and your friends.
Right.
Because Sheila is a dear friend. So when I hurt, Sheila hurt.
Yeah.
Because Sheila feels, she knows when something's wrong.
Well, Dan, you say that sometimes you go through things to make you understand and it gives you empathy for others.
Right.
And as much tragedy as there has been in my life and in Cheryl's, it has given us a empathy for others and an understanding, and so that's the positive that comes from it.
Yeah. Yeah. We go through a lot. We wear the scars from it, but if we can see a brightness at the end of the tunnel,
Yeah.
that's what we reach for.
That's
Yes.
right.
Absolutely. We've been having the information scrolling on our screen. Of course, the hyperlink for Cheryl's House of Hope is also in the post here on Facebook. If someone wants to participate, to help out, not only with your regular everyday needs, but if they want to help out with Gus Macker, what should they do?
They should reach out. We get a lot of donors that reach out on Cheryl's House of Hope page. Yeah. We will answer that page if you reach out on Facebook page. We will reach out, and we will start making announcements on and giving information on how and where. I'm suggesting that we will set up a spot where you could be able to come and sign up for what volunteer work you want to do, or what check, how you can give the check, or or even give us resources on where we could go.
Yeah. And right now, people can text Cheryl's telephone. They can call her. And Cheryl, you want to give your telephone number?
Sure. 740-703-9615.
9615. 740-703-9615.
Yes.
My short-term memory still works. It doesn't always, but there have been times. Ladies, thank you for what you're doing. Thanks for bringing Gus Macker back.
Thank you. We're so excited.
Yes, we are. And again, be watching. We'll have more information as the days grow closer to, because there's registration to take place, there's kids to get together, there's things to set up and everything more. So you keep watching. We'll let you know. You're on the clock.
We are.
May 11th and 12th, the dates for Gus Macker here in Chillicothe. Keep listening. We'll have more details for you coming up as we get closer to the dates. Ladies, thanks again. Dr. Sheila
Dan.
Gray and Cheryl Beverly from Cheryl's House of Hope. I'm Dan Ramey, back again with our daily show in just a moment here on Litter Media.